To Blockchain Gaming World Daily with me, John Jordan. So what we're looking at today is the news that a French developer called Darewise has partnered up with Dmarket, which is a blockchain-based in-game item exchange marketplace. It's taken a bit of time for me to unpick this a little bit, and I think that's kind of interesting. I won't go into the unpicking straight away. We'll just go kind of through the news to begin with. So Darewise is a French developer out of a kind of startup really out of Paris. It has a game called Life Beyond, an ambitious futuristic MMO. And they've basically done a deal with Dmarket to basically plug Dmarket's kind of trading marketplace into their game. So let's go down and get a few more details. So it's interesting how it's kind of positioned. So a community-driven game economy is a core part of Life Beyond's concept. So we hear this quite a lot in the blockchain game space. People talking about, particularly now, player-led economies, and that is actually, I think, the really the hardest thing in blockchain has been to create these player-led economies, because decentralized player-led economies have a life of their own. Clearly, they're player-led, and they don't always want to go in the direction the developer wants them to go. So you have this kind of creative tension or just tension. And already we've seen with some projects that have had a quite open economy that the incentive for some players is not necessarily the same incentive as for the whole community. So particularly if there's a whale can come in and dump lots of your assets or currency into the marketplace and destroy the pricing model. Not saying it's going to happen in this case, but there are also quite a lot of interesting issues around that. Anyway. So what's interesting is that Dmarket has been integrated into Life Beyond fairly straightforward. It seems like so they've built and balanced an economy in 3 weeks with two support of 2 engineers. I don't think they've balanced an economy yet, because obviously the game is in closed alpha, and there's not much economy going on there. So actually, what does it mean at the moment? I think, in the long term, Life Beyond, how does that going to work? I mean, there have been games that have had player-led economies without using blockchains. Project Entropia being the kind of most famous one, and it's been interesting, but they have lots of issues with kind of dealing with fiat currency and chargebacks and fraud and that sort of stuff. Something that the blockchain is supposed to kind of help us with. But I think over time we'll see more, whether it's using blockchain or some other kind of terminology, and we'll see more of that happening. So I think kind of Life Beyond are on the right track from that point of view. So the only thing you can do at the moment is buy these founder packs. So founder packs kind of effectively give you access to the game, to the closed alpha as it is at the moment. So Explorer pack is showing it to me in UK pounds, because that's where I am. £35 for an Explorer pack, £120 for a Visionary pack, and £55 for a Pioneer pack. So actually in euros, they're kind of saying €50, €125, and €300, and you get different things obviously for that, kind of access to the alpha and different keys, and Discord founders section, pre-access to launch, get some special items, customizable vehicles, dedicated blueprints, in-game customizations, names tags, in-game currency, your name on the founder's altar, and some game guide, blah blah blah, soundtrack. Okay, so we can kind of see that this is what's in the pack, and this is kind of effectively what is being traded, or that's what's being kind of secured via Dmarket. That's kind of interesting. Even in this kind of low level, where you only have kind of basically a small amount of items. I don't quite know how that's going to play out in terms of, if I buy a Visionary pack and then can I start selling on my additional keys? I can gift them, actually, it says here. But how do you break down? It actually becomes quite complicated. Do I have to gift my entire Visionary pack, or kind of what kind of elements of that can I trade? We can have a look at that by going into Dmarket itself. So Dmarket is kind of interesting, and I had to double check that Dmarket does use a blockchain. It does it has its own custom blockchain. So I'm not technically expert enough to know exactly if someone says it's a blockchain. I take their word for it. It's a blockchain rather than some other ledger system or something like that. So I'm not gonna say it's a fully decentralized system. We know that centralization is an argument that we have across the blockchain space. Not going there. What's interesting with Dmarket is so it does kind of trading of clearly non-blockchain game items from CS:GO and Dota 2. CS:GO skins obviously being the biggest kind of skin item economy. Nothing to do with blockchain, and no idea how Dmarket are putting these on a blockchain and kind of securing them, and don't really care. So if we go and have a look at Life Beyond, so we have a Life Beyond section here, and we can kind of see already there are these kind of items. Actually, not very clear what they are. Looks like some vehicles and some kind of badges, and I mean, how anyone works out the pricing of these things, absolutely no idea. Yeah, it's not very clear kind of what these items actually mean, to be totally honest. I think it could be some UI work could be done here. But we see, I mean, again, pricing models. How do pricing models set up? How do I know someone's got the same item is there for $99 and $10.53? So who knows how that pricing model is working out. But anyway, the economy is there. The other interesting thing, I guess, while we're here in a Dmarket is they have a few other things. So they have Dmarket. They have these kind of badges that they created. Again, I mean, I don't know why anyone would want to own these badges. These are effectively, I suppose, NFTs, but they're purely aesthetic NFTs. So that was kind of, in a sense, that's a player-led economy that no one's interacting in because there's no reason to have that. And there's another interesting one here where Dmarket was gonna, I don't know what ever happened to it. It was making a card, like a card battler game using YouTube kind of influencers. So we have these kind of cards of different YouTube influencers. I don't think the game ever came out, or I never heard if it did. So I don't quite know again what the value of these things are. Everything just goes to kind of explain how kind of complicated these kind of blockchain marketplaces are in every respect, in technical respects and in community-led respects and in kind of like economic respects. It's really not trivial to do this. And I think, actually, while we're here, let's quickly just check out. So this is the Block Explorer. So this is Dmarket. If you have a blockchain, you need a blockchain explorer to see what's going on. So we can see it's pretty bare bones, but we can see the latest block came out, and we can see how many transactions were in that block. So the blocks on Dmarket fairly fast, looking like kind of 1-2 minutes. And we can see here the typical thing, of transaction hash, the things that have been moved from the different wallet addresses, and the number of items that have been kind of in there. So it looks kind of, to me at least, fairly legit from a blockchain point of view. But going back to the original kind of press release, what I found interesting is, and why I had to double check, in fact triple check with Dmarket, is it doesn't mention blockchain at all in this press release. And actually, Dmarket doesn't really talk very much about being a blockchain based marketplace. And there may be many different reasons for doing that. I think what's interesting is we are kind of seeing this kind of more generally, that there is a movement away from using the term blockchain, which some people either find confusing or somewhat threatening, or kind of, obviously we have links to potentially still this idea that people are using Bitcoin for illegal terrorist sort of escapades. I'm sure that is the case to some degree, but they also use a lot of dollars and pounds and euros, that sort of thing as well. So it's not. I think that behaviour is not particularly associated with Bitcoin. Certainly, you can track what's going on with Bitcoin fairly easily if you know what you're doing. But what's interesting more generally is this kind of press release came out, and there's no mention of blockchain. And I don't get the impression that Life Beyond is talking to its user base about having blockchains in the background. I guess if people want to find out, there probably is some you would find out, and that really seems to be how the blockchain gaming community is progressing. It's just not mentioning blockchain at all. Another particular example is Blankos Block Party. I guess one of the big kind of hopes for blockchain gaming in 2020, kind of due out I think in early summer. I don't think there's going to be any mention of blockchain in that either. It's just going to be a game, and it has a blockchain. In this case, it's a kind kind of multi-chain thing I think they're doing now. It's using the EOS.io thing. It's using Microsoft Azure blockchain, using I think maybe some other ones as well. But there's various blockchain solutions in the background, making sure things are secure and ownership is true and all that sort of stuff. No double spend. But for anyone who's playing the game, we're not going to mention blockchain. And I think it'd be interesting to see how quickly that kind of terminology changes. Because I think if as soon as one game gets success, and us in the industry know it's using blockchain, and the users don't, then suddenly all blockchain, any mention of blockchain gaming will suddenly vanish, and all the people like me who have running podcasts and YouTube channels called blockchain gaming will look a bit silly. But anyway, we'll deal with that another time. But I think it is interesting, kind of beyond this single kind of press release that clearly I think this is the trend that's coming to. So we will keep our eyes and our ears peeled, one, for what's going on with Life Beyond. It'll be interesting to see. I'm not sure I'm tempted enough to buy a founder's key, but who knows? Maybe I will be. To see how the Dmarket stuff works, if I can sell it on. That's always the interesting thing with blockchain stuff or marketplaces. Is there any liquidity in the system? Can you actually sell things? But anyway, that's a video for another time. Thanks for watching this video or listening to the podcast version of it. If you want to contact me, you can find me on Twitter, blockchaingmg. But thanks for listening, watching, and hope to see you again soon.